Yeah. This is your boy, Tone DeShields II. You guys are locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I really do appreciate you guys for being here. As always, you guys know the vibes, you know the energy, you know how electric it gets, you know how sticky it gets. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the platform. It means so much to me whenever I see newcomers, whenever I see new faces in the live chat. It goes a long way with me, my friends. And I'm just grateful to be here with you guys. Grateful for another day. Grateful for the fact that I have this safe space to share my unadulterated opinions about the Philadelphia Eagles. So make sure you guys get comfy. Some of you guys may be on your way home from work. Maybe you're going into work. Maybe you're picking up the kids from school. Maybe you're trying to whip up some quick snack for the kids before they get home from school. Maybe you're still working on dinner, whatever it may be. I appreciate you guys. You know, I want to give a shout out to the working man, the working woman today. I want to give a shout out to my blue collar folk. And that's not to disregard my people who work the white collar. You know, if you wear a suit and tie to work, you're still valuable. But we gotta show love to those people who are really getting it out the mud, literally and figuratively. I want to give a shout out to my plumbers. I want to give a shout out to my contractors, my electricians. You know, I want to give a shout out to the landscapers out there, right? I want to give a shout out to the garbage men and garbage women. You know, I want to give a shout out to our first responders, right? I want to give a shout out to all those people wearing their scrubs. You dig what I'm saying? You know, hey, flexing. Shout out to the strippers too. Shout out to the strippers. They got to get it. They got to get it how they live as well. So again, man, just want to give a shout out to everybody who out there just laying it all out on the line, man. All my blue collar folk out there, blood, sweat, and tears. Really, really grateful for you guys. And just know, I see you guys and I appreciate all the work you guys do. Best believe that. You know, so, you know, we got some things to talk about. You know, I have a topic laid out for you guys today that I want to get into. And again, before we do that, you guys know housekeeping is a must. Make sure you guys are active in the live chat. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the show. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. It's just that simple. Now, let's get to the shenanigans. Let's get to my topic of conversation. Well, you know what? Let me take a step back for a second. Before we get too deep into what I want to talk about today, let's set some things up. Let's cross some T's and dot some I's. Let's do some quick updates. So, as you guys know, today was the last day. Today was the last day for Eagles training camp. Now it's all about preparing for the Green Bay game. It's all about about preparing for going to Brazil. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles, they end their preseason going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Not much game plan goes into those games. The preseason games is pretty much just about getting guys on the field and seeing what you want to see from certain guys at this point in time. But now it's time to start preparing for the big fish. Now it's time to go into the deep end of the pool. And I have to, once again, discuss some quick updates. The Eagles did cut and part ways with CJ Ojomo, tight end. I did not see that coming earlier on in the training camp, but up to this point, it's to be expected. CJ Ojomo did not have a good training camp at all. He did not have a good summer. It's just that simple. And he quite frankly wasn't productive. He wasn't catching anything, and his blocking ability wasn't worth how much of a ball and chain he would have been if he still was on his roster. But he just didn't provide anything. And I just don't know what he has left in the tank, if he has anything at all. Not mad at the Philadelphia Eagles for moving on from him. They followed that up by bringing back interior offensive lineman Jason Poe, who's played guard and center in this league. He was previously waived by the Philadelphia Eagles on August 5th. So the Philadelphia Eagles decided to bring him back. No harm, no foul. But I think the cutting of TJ or CJ Uzoma makes a clear path for EJ Jenkins, somebody that we're starting to become admirers of, someone that we're beginning to be high on. And, obviously EJ Jenkins, he had that really strong preseason game against the New England Patriots, right? That was a pretty strong performance by him. He pretty much caught every target that came his way. He had some pretty eye-opening grabs of the football. So this could be EJ Jenkins' path to the roster. Do I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to elevate 3 tight ends? I do. Obviously, Dallas Goedert. It's going to be Grant Calcaterra, and I think EJ Jenkins is definitely in pole position for that. He's outplayed Albert O, and he's outplayed CJ Uzoma. He's outplayed Kevin Fulch, that tight end they brought in. You know what I mean? He may make the practice squad, but I think EJ Jenkins has earned a roster spot on this team. I think he has. And we just haven't seen what we thought we would see from a guy like Albert O. It just hasn't matriculated. So that's that. On top of that, Jalen Hurts threw his first interception of training camp. If that means anything to you guys, doesn't really mean quite of anything to me, but it happened. Figured I'd say it. They asked him about it in the press conference. Towards the end, he was walking off. They know it's not. They know it's a nothing burger, but they still wanted to ask. It's in jest. And immediately they asked him, "Hey, it's about time." So, shout out to Jalen Hurts for being a good sport about it. No big deal. Again, something that's not really worth really having a real conversation about. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a pretty good season. He's been surgical, and I think it's going to translate. And then Saquon Barkley, he didn't practice today, and it wasn't injury related. They're just, monitoring him. They did load management. They know the season is coming. They want to make sure he's in tip-top shape, and I ain't mad about that. I ain't mad about that not one bit. So, yeah, that's pretty much the housekeeping. Nothing major really happened today. Last day of training camp. So, let's get into my real topic, right? But before I do so, I'm going to get some shout-outs out the way. Shout out to Fitness Warrior in the building, Elijah Earl, J62 Moon, what's going on? The Real RMP, welcome to the show. Jameer Adams, my guy, welcome to the show. Who else we got? Donald Roan, welcome to the show. And we got plenty of others in the live stream that's just kicking it with us. I really do appreciate you guys for locking in the way you guys do. It goes a long way with me. Now, I want to get to my primary topic here. We've been talking about training camp as a whole, right? And we've gotten into position battles. We've talked about guys who have improved, guys we've been excited about, guys that maybe we've been disappointed in. We've covered training camp from a plethora of angles, right? But I want to hone in a little bit. This Eagles team is really, really, really leaning in to their youth movement, and I like it. I've been talking about it. We've all been talking about it, right? You got to get these young guys on the field. You got to find out what these young guys can do. You can't keep banking on these OGs in the league to save you. At some point, you got to start to develop talent, and you got to trust what happens. You got to trust. You got to. What is it that they say? You got to take the obviously you got to take the good with the bad. But when you crack an egg, sometimes you get a few shells. So the bottom line is, there's going to be growing pains when you lean on young players. It's a part of the game, but you got to get through that. And you're never going to get through that if you keep putting OGs ahead of them, if you keep putting veterans ahead of them. Nonetheless, I want to spend today focusing on the Philadelphia Eagles draft class, but not the 2024 draft class. No. The 2024 draft class gets a mulligan. I give all rookies a mulligan. I don't have my expectations for rookies are always measured, and it can be position specific, and it can depend on how much depth is at the position that you were drafted at. So regardless, though, I try to be very measured in how I critique rookies. So I'm not here to focus on the 2024 draft class. I want to focus on the 2023 draft class with you guys today. That is Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, Sidney Brown, Kelee Ringo, Tanner McKee, and Moro Ojomo. So let's get into it. Now, my man Fitness Warrior says, Tone, you're going to have to define mulligan for some of us here. I think you know what a mulligan means, but if you don't, it's a pass. Basically, give somebody a pass, a do-over. Nonetheless, though, focusing on the 2023 draft class, the reason I'm focusing on those guys is because those gentlemen are entering year 2. And now we're going to need to start to see what all the fuss was about. Now it's about time guys start to take that next step in their development. You feel what I'm saying here? There are guys from that 2023 draft class, and I'm sure there are guys from the 2022 draft class that we're waiting to take that next step, right? But again, the 2023 draft class, I'm going to go player by player, and we're going to break these players down. But overall, you're entering a time where now, again, you're leaning on young players. It's vital for them to continue to make those strides in their development. It's vital for you to show some level of trust in them. So let's start with the man of the hour, Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, I think it goes without saying, we love Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, 23 years old today. He was drafted in the first round, 9th overall out of Georgia, as we all know. And from the moment he came into the league, the expectations were high. Taking it a step further, coming into the league, he had drama attached to him. And some people felt as though, damn, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the scratch worth the itch? Is Jalen Carter's talent enough for me to overlook his past transgressions? And for me, it was. So the Philadelphia Eagles decided to trade up to get Jalen Carter. So you've invested not just a draft pick, but you've invested multiple draft picks into Jalen Carter to attain him, right? So now he comes in as a rookie. He's playing with Fletcher Cox. You know, he's playing with next to guys like Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick and his man Jordan Davis, Marlon Tuipulotu, right? Brandon Grant, he's playing next to some vets. He's playing. He's in the perfect incubation chamber. But he comes out the gate busting. He comes out the gate dominating the opposition. Right? Rookie stats through 16 games played. He only started in one game, but 16 games played, 563 total defensive snaps, which is a 51% rate of being on the field. 51% of the time he was on the field. He was rotating between Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis. Like that was the holy trinity for us at the defensive tackle position. So in his rookie season, 16 games played, 563 snaps total on defense, 51% of the defensive snaps played that were available to him. Through those snaps, 6 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 33 tackles total, 2 forced fumbles, and a defensive touchdown. That's a very productive rookie season. On top of that, he came in second for Defensive Rookie of the Year behind Will, what's the edge rusher? The edge rusher from the Texans. They drafted out of Alabama. Will Anderson. So you have a guy here in Jalen Carter who's extremely talented, has all the tools you want at the position, can rush the passer, can defend the run, can take on double teams, can beat anybody in the one-on-one. His toolkit is deeper than most guys his age. You follow me here? So it's safe to say the expectations for Jalen Carter, not just coming in as a rookie, but the expectations for him coming into year 2 are extremely high. And like I said, many people believe that he has all the tools to be a top tier defensive tackle in this NFL. Some believe he's next up to be the guy. But he has to prove that in 2024, right? He has to prove that. 2023, everybody fell off a cliff, right? And when you're a Georgia boy, your motor is always in question because they rotate a lot of those guys. That Georgia defense is very deep, so they rotate a lot of those guys. You're not going to get a lot of snaps, no matter how good you are, really. And that doesn't really translate well into the NFL. Just ask Jordan Davis. But nonetheless, we're looking forward to the next step the next step of evolution in that motor, right? Same thing goes for Jordan Davis. We're looking for the next stage of development with that motor. How deep does the reservoir go when it comes to your conditioning? So regardless of the expectations we have, regardless of how excited we may be for any of these players, and I get excited, and y'all know how I give it up. I'm very confident in this Philadelphia Eagles in this Philadelphia Eagles team. I'm very confident. But regardless, through my confidence, I openly acknowledge that they have to prove it. Not to me necessarily, but they got to prove it to the opposition. They got to prove it to the guys they lining up against. That everybody is food. That we are the apex. You feel what I'm saying? So when I think about the idea of Fletcher Cox retiring, when I think about that notion, I say to myself, okay, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, what are you going to do? And again, this is really about the 2023 draft class. But I kind of look at Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter as like they're a package deal to an extent. But again, just trying my best to keep it on Jalen Carter. What you going to do, big dog? What's up? This is the time to take that next step in your sophomore season in the NFL. This is that time to let the league know that I'm a force to be reckoned with. And I'm not the one to F around with. I like the talent he has. I love everything about the player. Some even had questions about whether or not he would be focused. And I think he came into the perfect situation in Philadelphia, being with Fletcher Cox, being with BG, right? Being with his homies from college. I think he was put into a prime situation to win and to succeed. And I think he has all the tools to do so. What's the next stage in that development, though? I'm really curious. What's the next stage in the development of that motor, of that conditioning? I think he can get it done. And I think of all the 2023 draft picks, we don't really have too many questions about him. But I think it's funny. I do think it's interesting how at the end of the day, these players got to prove it, yet we pick and choose who we're worried about and who we're not worried about. It is interesting. But I think that's the nature of the game, right? It comes with it. I'm always challenging my own thought process. I'm always trying to challenge the way I think. Am I thinking things out thoroughly? And I think it's fascinating how we pick and choose who we are worried about. When in reality, no matter what you've done and what we think you're going to do, you got to prove it. I just think that's interesting. But again, Fletcher Cox retiring, Jalen Carter, you're supposed to be the big man on campus when it comes to this offense or defense, excuse me. We're looking at Jalen Carter as being probably the most dominant player on this defense. Can he be the most dominant player on his defense? I think he can. Because it begins and ends with him. It begins and ends with that defensive line. If that defensive line does not do their job in 2024, this Philadelphia Eagles team is cooked. The defensive line has to get it done. Now, we've heard good things about the pass rush as of late. I had my concerns earlier on in training camp because I saw in that Ravens game, I was curious about where's the pressure with the front four. You can't always rely on the blitz to get that pressure home. But we've been starting to hear a lot more through training camp and from that joint practice with the Patriots and things like that. We're beginning to hear more positive things about that pass rush. Guys like Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat, BG, Jalen Carter, Jordan. We're hearing Nolan Smith. We're hearing more positive things. So that's good to hear. But the bottom line is still in full effect. Jalen Carter, I look at you as the future leader of this D-line. That's how I look at it. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, they're at the heart of this defense. We ain't taking no shorts. We can't. Mediocrity cannot be accepted. And I think Jalen Carter is going to have a really, really, really strong season. I think Jalen Carter, if I had to give you guys a little bit of a stat prediction here, I would say Jalen Carter gives you 10 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, and 3 forced fumbles. Coming off of a season where he gave you 6 sacks, 8 TFLs, and 2 forced fumbles, where he was only playing 51% of the snaps. I expect that to go up to maybe 60%, 75%. Or 65, 75, something like that. I expect that snap count to go up. I really, really do. You want your best players on the field. I think when it comes to Jalen Carter, we have ourselves a future Pro Bowler, a future All-Pro. I think it's entirely possible. He has that kind of talent. So again, this 2023 draft class, entering year 2, we got to start to see things taking shape. We have to start seeing things coming into fruition. And this goes especially for Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith drafted first round, 30th overall out of Georgia in last year's draft, 2023 draft. I feel like a lot of people forget Nolan Smith is a first round draft pick. We need to start seeing those type of results. Nolan didn't play that much last year. Nolan played in all 17 games, but didn't get a ton of reps on a week-to-week basis. He gave you a total of 188 defensive snaps, which is 16% of the total snaps that were available to him. He gave you 1 sack, 1 TFL, 18 total tackles, and 3 quarterback hits. That's nothing. You can fall into those stats. At the NFL level, you could trip into those stats. You can bump into that stat. But again, I can't get mad at him for the Philadelphia Eagles not putting him in positions to win or not getting him on the field enough. But maybe one could argue and say, was he ready for the workload? That's why they didn't get him on the field. They weren't ready for the workload. He wasn't ready for the workload. That could be an argument someone makes. Someone could also say that they didn't trust too many young guys last year. They only put guys in if another guy got hurt. So again, we're entering a new phase of the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of developing guys and playing young guys. Right? But Nolan Smith, first round draft pick, 30th overall, edge rusher, 23 years old, a young guy. He has everything you want in a player in terms of the mindset, the commitment to being great, the work ethic. He knows what to say. He understands the city. He understands the culture. He has leadership in his DNA, personality-wise. But the play, the performance has to match that. Although some people will say, well, Nolan's he's having a good preseason, a good training camp. And it's like, okay, to an extent, right? And again, this is me trying to be as respectful as possible. I do my best to try to respect these guys that put the work in. They can do things that I can't. I couldn't live in their shoes. I couldn't be them, just how they couldn't be me. And that's okay. I respect their position, and I have reverence for my own. But to me, based off what I've seen, what I've read, what I've heard, Nolan just hasn't had enough pop to me. Not enough explosiveness. Now, he did secure 2 sacks through 2 preseason games. But let's really break those down. The first one, he came off the line untouched. And the left tackle had no idea he was coming. The left tackle missed an assignment. So he came off the line untouched. Granted, you do your job and you finish the play. So I admire his ability to finish. I'll say that. I admire his ability to finish. And we cannot keep saying that we don't care what someone does in preseason. Because if they're awful, we're going to say something. We cannot continue to try to play that game here. If someone's awful in preseason, you're going to say something about it. You're going to bring it up in conversations. So if they do something awful, we're going to talk about it. If they do something positive, we're going to talk about it. It's a part of the arc. It's a part of trying to establish a line of development. The preseason matters. You want to know why it matters? Because you got guys out there who may not be at the level of a Justin Jefferson, or may not be at the level of A.J. Brown, or may not be at the level of a Hassan Reddick, or a Myles Garrett, or a Jesse Bates, or a Patrick Mahomes, or a Dak Prescott, or a Jalen Hurts, or Joe Burrow. Yes, you're not watching guys of that caliber. You're not watching that. But what you are watching, you're watching guys fight for their football lives. You're watching guys fight for a paycheck. Some of these brothers got kids at home that's sick, parents at home that's sick, a spouse that's sick, bills, debt. This is all they have. They out there giving it they all. They fighting. They doing the best they can with what the snaps they've been given. So the preseason matters because you got guys out there giving it they all. Is it the talent caliber of what we're going to see in the regular season? No, but it's football. And it's blood sport. And it's a sport that'll give you so much, but take even more from you. So I take the preseason very seriously. I take what I see in preseason very seriously. And if someone does well in preseason, well enough that deserves mentioning, we're going to talk about that. And we're going to hope, or let me not say hope, we're going to project how that looks in the regular season. So Nolan Smith, 2 sacks. Okay, back-to-back games. All right. But not all sacks are created equal, right? For example, Hassan Reddick. And we're going to talk about that angle too, because Hassan Reddick ain't here no more. It's time for Nolan Smith to step up. Big talk. You feel me? So, like I said, all sacks are not created equal. And I'm going to get to all your comments, by the way. You guys know how I give it up here. I'm going to get through my spiel. Then I'm going to get to your comments. We're going to have fun. All sacks are not created equal. Let me explain. If you sack somebody on the first play of a game, is it as important as sacking somebody on a crucial 4th down play that can decide a game? You know, if I get 3 sacks in the first quarter But then on the money down, when we need a stop and I can't get a sack, did I really have the game I needed to have? Did my sacks impact the game? No, right? So this is what we're talking about with Nolan Smith, comparing it to Hassan Reddick type sacks, right? And again, I'm not comparing the players as far as talent. I'm comparing just the fact that sacks aren't created equal here. And I'm looking at Nolan Smith's sacks, and I'm saying to myself, okay, but who did you beat? Or better yet, how did you get there? Right? How did you get to your destination? The first sack, you came off untouched. That was a gimme. I give you credit for finishing. People miss sacks all the time. People blow those opportunities. I give you credit for finishing. That's important to be able to finish. That was Josh Sweat's problem last year. Josh Sweat couldn't finish last year. That was his problem. He had a lot of quarterback hits, but couldn't freaking finish. And that was the problem last year with a lot of those guys on defense. They would get there, they would get all the quarterback hits, they would get all the pressures in the damn world, but couldn't fucking finish. Excuse my language. So I give credit to Nolan Smith for being able to finish the play. I'll give him that. Now, the Patriots game. He comes off the edge and he runs into a chip. But the chip bounces him into the lane for a free sack. On top of that, the left tackle and the left guard had no idea what was going on. One of those players didn't expect the chip or didn't know they were supposed to chip or not chip, whatever it was. Nolan Smith benefited from a miscommunication by left tackle and left guard. He ate the chip, took out the quarterback. I gave him credit for finishing. I respect the game. I respect the game and I respect the finish. But I haven't seen a move. I haven't seen anything that said, whoa, you saw how he connected those moves? I'm not seeing the swim moves and the spin moves. I'm not seeing the counters. And that's what made Hassan Reddick great. His ability to chain link moves together. So Nolan Smith, with Hassan Reddick not being here anymore, I need to see how much you learn from that brother. I need to see the next stage in your evolution. Right? I've been watching a lot of X-Men lately. I've been rewatching the X-Men series from the 90s, from 1993 to 96, I believe it was, or 91 to 96. Can't remember exactly when, but I've been watching the X-Men series from the 90s in preparation for finally locking in on X-Men 97. I heard X-Men 97 is the shit. Excuse my language again, sorry. But I've been watching a lot of X-Men lately. And the whole basis of the X gene in the X-Men lore is about evolution, the next stage of your development, being ahead of your peers in terms of DNA, in terms of the X gene, having that X factor, something that separates you from the rest. And I haven't quite seen anything from Nolan Smith in the preseason games. Haven't read anything or heard anything, quite frankly, that separates him from the rest. Because although you're getting those sacks against those players you're playing against, and J Love, my man, thank you for being here. The reason I say excuse my language is because I do have younger people who watch the show. And yes, it is YouTube, but you also have to market yourself to an extent. So, yeah, I mean, we're in a new era of digital media. You know, a lot of people curse a lot. You know, I don't want to curse. I don't want to curse every sentence. I don't want to lean on curse words every time I want to express myself. I'm actually trying to curse less. You know, my wife would appreciate that if I curse less. So I'm trying to be a little bit more conscientious about that. But, you know, the last thing I want to do is make the show less manly or less, you know, gritty. But regardless, though, I appreciate y'all being here. J Love, you know I got love for you, my man, even if we disagree 99% of the time. But I'm not seeing that it factor from Nolan Smith quite yet. Could it be there? Could it be? Could he be holding something back? Is he waiting until the season to unleash the moves? I don't know. I don't know. All I know is he got a lot to prove. Just how we're talking about Jalen Carter has a lot to prove still, even though he gave us a very, very strong rookie campaign, came in second in rookie of the year voting for the defense. He gave us a lot he gave us a lot to be hopeful about. Nolan Smith, he doesn't have a leg to stand on right now. So all the rah quotables that he can give us, all that passion, I love it. But I need the play to start matching. You feel what I'm saying? I need the energy. We need to see why they drafted you in the first round. Because there were rumors that he was going to be a top 15, top 20 pick. Remember that? Some people were saying, hey, if you can't get this player, Nolan Smith, right there out of Georgia, go get him. And he has a lot riding on this season. Because if Nolan Smith, if those guys can't get pressure, like I said, if Jalen Carter can't get pressure, if Jordan Davis can't stop the run and dictate the action, if Bryce Huff, Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat, if they're not getting pressure consistently, if they're not getting to the quarterback, we're in trouble, Philadelphia. We're in trouble. This defensive line is the heart and soul of the trajectory of this season. It's a fact. It's a fact. So I'm not here to say that Nolan Smith is a bust. I'm not saying that at all. I don't use that term loosely. I'm not here to say Nolan Smith ain't got it. I'm not here to say Nolan Smith is a bum. I'm not here to say none of that. I'm here to say Nolan Smith, brother, they drafted you in the first round. You didn't get that many snaps last year. So I ain't putting that on you. But I gotta ask, but I gotta bring it up, my man. You gotta show up this year. Fletcher Cox, not here. Hassan Reddick, not here. It's time to put up. It's time to lock in. There's only but so much you can expect out of a rookie his first year, right? But now, entering year 2, brother, it's time to get this money. It's time to get this money. You know, moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles' 3rd round pick. Well, you know what? Let me do this. Before I move on to that pick, let me get to some of your comments. Let's do that. Flexing and Steppin said Phillies fans going through it. Yeah, man, that's tough. That is tough. Eagles fan says Vic zone blitzes a lot. The tackle should eat. They should. J Love says Philly always choking. I'm learning not to expect much. We only win once every eclipse. That's hilarious. Felice Ranger. He says, what if Nolan Smith gets another sack in the last preseason game, which would make 1 sack per game? What does that say about him, Tone? Again, I like sacks, but how you get them sometimes means a lot more. You know, if I see him get a sack with a clean win on somebody, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, all right. But we got to be honest, Ranger. The first sack, they gave it was a gimme. And then the second sack, I mean, it wasn't like he beat a double team. The left tackle and the left guard miscommunicated, and he took advantage of the opportunity. Again, I'm not mad at the brother for taking advantage of the spot of the opportunity. You got to take advantage of every opportunity in front of you. That's a fact. So don't think that I don't appreciate what he has done. But what I am saying is I want to see him beat somebody with something. I want to see where you know what I mean? I want to see where the Tai Chi is getting in. You feel me? I want to see all of that. You know, I want to see the chopping and the, you know what I mean? I want to see the karate chops. You know, Ranger. You know, yeah, you feel me, Ranger? The impact sacks, the ones that make you go, ooh, ah. The ones that make a player go, ooh, my neck, my back, my neck, and my back. That's the type of time we need to be on with these guys, okay? So that's all it is. That's all. That's all, man. Where was I? But to your point though, if he does get another sack, I'll be happy about it. But it got to look good though. It got to be a move. I need to see that. I need to see a move. That's all. Just give me a move. Shit. um, Eagles fan says it's kind of not the player's fault that some are overdrafted. Yeah, that doesn't fall on the player at all. That doesn't fall on the player not one bit. Wow. What are the odds? So anyway, that's Blunt, the big dog. He says Reddick's rookie year he had 2.5 sacks, then 4 sacks his second year. My point is, let's see him grow. He will get his go-to moves. Fair enough. I will also push back and say, remember, the Cardinals didn't know how to use Reddick. They were using him as like he was a your standard linebacker. They was dropping him back in coverage, and they wasn't really sending him as a pass rusher. You feel me? So one could argue Reddick should have had more sacks. One could argue that, but again, that's hypothetical, right? But to your point, though, the bottom line is he's a young player. He's a young player, right? But don't you think we should have saw something that made us go, okay, I get it. Like, do any of us have that moment in the Rolodex where we can say, or that we can pull from and say, you know what? Yeah, I get it. Like with Jalen Carter, we all look at each other and say, oh yeah, I get it. Even Jordan Davis, even though we criticize his conditioning and his motor, when we saw Jordan Davis playing at a high level, we said, oh, I get it. I get it. People may have their opinions about Hassan Reddick, but when you see him play, you're like, oh, I get it. You feel what I'm saying? That's all. I just need to see something that makes me go, I get it. I see that. As Blunt says, last year I thought he was dealing with a shoulder. Not making excuses, but I don't think Nolan was completely healthy. That I agree with. I don't think he was completely healthy last year at all. That I agree with. When you go into a press conference and you start talking about, hey, the shoulder works when it works, I'm like, hold up, brother. That's not what I need to hear. I don't need to hear you talking about the shoulder working or working whenever it want to work. No, that don't work. That don't work on the job. Okay, when you at your job, you don't say, yeah, I work when I want to work. No, that your supervisor needs you to cut the cheese ASAP. So when it comes to that shoulder, I don't want to hear it work when I want to work. Hey, I need you to get that bad boy right. That's all. Flexing and Stepping says, I think that defense is going to surprise a lot of fans. Yeah, I think that defense is going to surprise a lot of people too. I think it's going to be better than what people think. And I think by the end of the season, that defense is going to be top half of the league. That's what I think. When it comes to the Eagles, I think by the end of the season, they're going to be top half of the league. Let's see here. Flexen also says can't afford no injuries on that line because we might we might be cheese on the reserves. Yeah, man. Mimi, what's going on? Let's see. Eagles fan says O-line depth scares me. Really? Huh. Are we thinking about that Patriots game that made us nervous? Because yes, the Patriots game wasn't admirable at all by that offensive line, but remember, they were all backups. What are the odds that your entire offensive line are backups, right? So, you know, player by player, I actually like our depth on the offensive line. Like when you really just go player by player, I like it. Now, obviously, you don't want your whole backup line out there, but I think I think O line depth is really not the worst. I think it's pretty solid. Because think about this: Darian Kennard having a pretty good training camp, offseason, whatever. Trevor Keegan, same thing. So I just mentioned a guard and a tackle. Dylan McMahon having a pretty good training camp in preseason. That's three. That's the center right there. You know, Matt Hennessy, not bad. Like you got to be mindful about how you process the O line depth, right? Don't think of it as all. Don't think of it as can my second string offensive line be a starter anywhere else in this league? Be starters anywhere else in this league, right? And that's a luxury that only maybe 1%, maybe less than 1% of teams have. Having an O line so deep that you basically have two starting offensive lines. That's not common. But do the Eagles have enough depth where if they lose a guard, do they got somebody good enough that can come in? Yeah. Tyler Steen, Trevor Keegan. There's two guys right there. If they lose a tackle, obviously you can't replace Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata. But do they have tackle depth that's okay? Sure, maybe. I know Tyler Steen has tackle experience. Mekhi Becton, obviously, tackle experience. But he's your starting right guard. Fred Johnson, long arms, athletic, strong. I think O-line depth is actually better than what people give it credit for. I think it. I don't think. I think people are overreacting to the O-line depth. Now, I will say, center depth may be a little concerning because Brett Toth is hit or miss with me. And then I know Matt Hennessy has center experience, but I think the O-line depth is. I think the lack of O-line depth is an overrated point. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that. Private McClunky says, remember, the O-line started looking good when McKee got in. I'm so glad you brought that. I'm so glad you brought that up. Because when you watch those games, when you watch the performance of Tanner McKee versus Kenny Pickett can make the best offensive line look trash. He holds on to the ball for so long. He doesn't make decisions. Whereas though Tanner McKee wasn't sacked not near one time in that last game. Tanner McKee got the ball out on time, made decisions, hit his check down. The O-line depth is nowhere near as bad as some of y'all making it. Kenny Pickett can make Trent Williams look like a basic left tackle. That's how bad he was. He refuses to let the ball go. See, here's the difference. Tanner McKee throws guys open. Kenny Pickett waits for guys to get open. And that's not how you win football games. Sorry about that. But since we're talking about the offensive line here, that brings me to the third round draft pick by the Philadelphia Eagles in 2023, Tyler Steen. Now, Tyler Steen is in a unique situation here. Tyler Steen, 3rd-round pick, 65th overall, drafted out of Alabama. He's 24 years old. Tyler Steen, he didn't get too much run his rookie year. He did start in that Dallas game, the first one, and he was okay. Wasn't great, but he was okay because I think Cam Jurgens was hurt. So Tyler Steen came in. He was all right, but he didn't really play too much last year. He played in 11 games, but through those 11 games, only accumulated 71 snaps on the offensive line, which is 10% of the snaps that was available to him. And most of those snaps came in that Dallas matchup, the first one, prior to the bye week. So Tyler Steen didn't really get too much run. But we've seen him take that next step, right? We've seen him play well in the preseason games. Now, does he need to work on discipline in terms of penalties? Yes, he does. And I don't like penalties at all. But I will say that it's encouraging to see the strides he's made just as a right guard when he came in as a right tackle. But the Eagles did draft him to be a guard. So I always felt like Tyler Steen was a solid young prospect, just showing the willingness to convert from right tackle to right guard. That goes a long way. And then coming into this season, he was supposed to be the guy at right guard. Remember, we were talking about position battles between Tyler Steen and Trevor Keegan, right? Or Matt Hennessy. We were talking about that. But then they brought in Mekhi Becton. And we were all under the impression, Mekhi Becton, back up at tackle, back up right tackle. That's perfect. You got a former first rounder who's talented that just can't stay healthy. You got him as your backup right tackle. I love it. Maybe he can take over for Lane Johnson at some point. Maybe. But then we heard about them working out Mekhi Becton at right guard, and that's when we were like, whoa, hold up. Mekhi Becton at right guard, that's a lot of size at that position. So then injuries start to happen. Now you got Tyler Steen watching his back from Mekhi Becton. Tyler Steen gets hurt. Mekhi Becton gets hurt also, but Mekhi Becton comes back sooner. And Mekhi Becton starts getting reps at right guard. And then the Philadelphia Eagles come to the conclusion, hold on, wait. We think we like Mekhi Becton at right guard just a little bit more than Tyler Steen. Tyler Steen's young, still has to get stronger. But they love Mekhi Becton at right guard. Powerful human being. I think what won them over was how well he did against Jalen Carter throughout training camp. Mekhi Becton has been doing pretty well against Jalen Carter. So I think that went a long way with Jeff Stoutland and just the rest of the decision makers, right? And ever since Mekhi Becton got ahead of Tyler Steen in that depth chart, Tyler Steen ain't seen a starting rep since. To the point where Mekhi Becton, he didn't even play in the last game. Tyler Steen was playing. So that tells you everything you need to know. But I still like having Tyler Steen as a backup in the event of anything. I like Tyler Steen as a player. I'm optimistic about Tyler Steen. I like that he's taking strides, and that I even like the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles took him seriously as their starting right guard. I like that. So he gives you versatility on the line. He's building that confidence. He has an opportunity to get stronger. You know what I'm saying? It all remains to be seen what the future holds for Tyler Steen. But still, Tyler Steen being drafted in the 3rd round out of Alabama, to have Tyler Steen as being one of your rotational guards, I like that. So I have nothing bad to say about Tyler Steen. Just continue to work on discipline and avoid the penalties. And I think he'll be straight. I think he'll be just fine. Relative Time Works comments, Becton is only 25 years old. He could be on that line for a long time. That's true. Remember, Becton's on a 1-year deal. So if all things go well, he may get extended by the Eagles and he may get a 2 or 3 year deal. You never know how it may go. And he's young, like you said. He's entering year 5 of his rookie deal, right? Or I'm sorry, he's entering year 5 of his NFL career, excuse me. Or is it year 6? I got to check that out. Hold on. Got to check that out. I'm curious about that because Mekhi Becton, how old was he when he got drafted? So Mekhi Becton, 6'7", 363, 25 years old. He's entering his 5th NFL season. He didn't play in 2022 at all because he hurt his knee. So he's entering his 5th year in the NFL, his 4th season on the grass. 2021 and 2022, he didn't play much football. So you can make an argument that he doesn't have that many miles on his body at all, which goes a long way. To your point, Relative Time Works. Eagles fan says, I love the fact that we're one of the youngest teams in the league. The way Howie works the cap, they can all grow together. Absolutely. There's a ton of young talent on this team. It all just has to come together. Eagles fan also says Becton about to get paid. Stout told Howie to go get him. That's a good point. Flexing and Steppin says, Tone, please remember they wasn't playing against no A-listers with the Pats. If any of those reserves got on the field, the A-list football player going to cook them. Well, here's my retort to that, right? That offensive line was lights out against the Ravens. That Ravens defense is real. That Ravens defense has depth. Then they played the Patriots. That team has a really good defense. That team has depth on defense. But again, the point is, you can't assume or approach it from the perspective of the entire second string offensive line. It's not how it works. You're going to have one guy. If you have one injury out there, you're going to replace one guy. You know, you're going to be able to hide that to a degree. You're going to be able to work that a little bit. But let's just hope it's not Lane Johnson. That's the point. That's the person I don't want to lose. Let's hope it's not Lane Johnson. But regardless, I think we're talking about every NFL team flexing. Like, when you look at the Eagles' depth at O-line and you look at the rest of the league, you'll sing a different tune. There's a lot of people who kill to have Eagles backups because they know what lineage they come from. Stoutland University. Make sure you're not late for class. So look, we can agree to disagree. It is what it is. Doesn't really make too much difference. Let's see what we have here. My man S. Blunt says the O-line is better than last year. Now, you know, when you lose Jason Kelce, that's a hard statement for me to just be okay with. But I think I understand what he's trying to say, though. Previn McClunky says O-line started to look good when McKee got in. Right, exactly. Trey was good. The real RMP says Barkley should also be a big help picking up the blitz. That's a fact. That is a fact. All right. Let's get to my next player from the 2023 draft class. That player is none other than 3rd round draft pick, 66th overall out of Illinois, Sidney Brown, safety, 24 years old. Now, Sidney Brown is a very fascinating prospect because athletically, he jumps off the page. You love everything about that guy's motor. You love the energy. You love the juice he plays with. He's looking to hit. He's looking to take heads off. He's flying sideline to sideline. He's flying downhill. Can he improve in coverage? Absolutely. But he also has the ability to play in the nickel slot as well. He's versatile in that way. But could he improve in coverage? Absolutely. Absolutely. But unfortunately, he's going to be starting the season, the 2024 season, on the PUP list, which means he automatically misses the first 4 games. And this comes on the heels of him tearing his ACL in the last game of the 2023 season. A terrible time. Terrible, 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 terrible time to have or to sustain an ACL injury. And in his rookie year, he didn't get the most run, but he got a good amount of run. He played in 14 games. He had 6 starts. He put up 335 total defensive snaps, which is 35% of the defensive snaps that was available to him. He gave you an interception, which he returned for a pick 6, 1 forced fumble, 45 total tackles. And I think the one thing we just really loved about him was the fact that how he was just flying around the field. He was always near the football. He was fearless, throwing his body around. But I think when it comes to his unique athletic gifts at the position, he does have to learn when to hit the brakes. You can't be throwing your body around like that recklessly. He has to learn, he has to figure out how to tackle or to become a more technically sound tackler. Sometimes he just throws his weight around. And that's fun to watch, but that's not good for your long-term health, brother. And obviously, the ACL tear was a non-contact injury. I think it happened on punt kickoff or something like that. I think he was a gunner. Whatever he was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a special teams play. It was no contact. And he has to deal with that. But I got a lot of love for Sidney Brown. The unique athletic traits he has. How he just made that play for the pick 6. I mean, just to have vision after the interception. He does have to improve in areas, absolutely. But I don't question his motor at all. I don't question his ability to get up for Sundays. I don't question that at all. Like I said, I think his ceiling is high. Like, he's one of those players that's like boom or bust. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Sidney Brown has the athletic gifts to be a real force at the safety position. I think the Eagles see him in their long-term plans, but he has to obviously continue to develop. And the question becomes, right? Again, he's starting the season on the PUP list. He will be back by week 6 because week 5, the Eagles have a bye. So he misses the first 4 games automatically. You won't see him until week 6. That gives him more time to recover, more time to get comfortable with what his role is. And what I've been reading is that Sidney Brown, what he's been doing is, even though he couldn't really get in on the action, he's been very close to the defense in terms of when they're on the field, he kind of lines up as he would if he was on the field, but he kind of mirrors what's going on. And he kind of gets mental reps going about what he would have done in this situation, right? Like, for example, if the Eagles are in a red zone situation in training camp, he's going to line up in the back of the end zone or just out of bounds, obviously, but in the back of the end zone, just trying to get those mental reps in as if he's back there at the safety position. So I got a lot of respect for him still staying or locked in to what's going on with the defense. Reed Blankenship talked about how he's been a true student. He's been locked in on everything we've been doing. And just mirroring what's been happening. Mental reps go a long way. I used to watch and still do. I watch a lot of Dragon Ball Z. And I don't know if you guys remember those scenes where Krillin and Gohan would literally be meditating in front of each other, but they're literally fighting it out. They're training mentally. Somehow, some way they're able to connect their brain pathways, and they're able to train mentally, and you're seeing them doing their martial arts and testing out new abilities and elevating their skill sets. That image training. Thank you, Joshua Mullins. The image training. That's what Sidney Brown has been doing. He's been image training. So I think it's super dope to see. I think it's super dope to see Sidney. I can't wait to see Sidney Brown back on the field for one. Let me just put it that way. Eagles fan says Dragon Ball stinks, bro. I don't anybody that says Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball anything is trash. I don't trust your anime intellect. I don't trust your anime palette. Anybody who tries to down anything Dragon Ball related, I don't trust your anime eyes. I don't. Sorry, I don't. There's no way you were a kid in America and you got into and you didn't get into anime through Dragon Ball Z. There's no way. There's no way in hell that you became an anime fan and didn't bypass Dragon Ball Z. It's a prerequisite. It's a prerequisite. If you like anime, Dragon Ball Z fan. It comes with the territory. But yes, Sidney Brown has been getting a lot of image training done. He's been getting a ton of mental reps in. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see Sidney Brown this year. I can't wait. Now, here's the question, though. Here's the question. Where does Sidney Brown fit into this defense now? How do we measure our expectations for Sidney Brown? Again, coming off of an ACL tear, typically guys aren't fully back until the following season. The only player we've seen come back from an ACL tear and dominate the league is Adrian Peterson. So, we have to measure our expectations when it comes to Sidney Brown. But the question is, where does he fit in? I like what my man S. Blunt just said. And I agree with him 100%. He actually beat me to it. I think we're going to see situations where you get Sidney Brown in that field. There's some big nickel situations. Could be that. Maybe, just maybe, a dime look. Maybe. You never know. Because of how physical he is, maybe you bring him into some red zone goal line situations, right? It all depends. But I can't wait to see him, and I'm curious to see how he gets back into the action. I'm very curious to see what he looks like. And by the way, I almost forgot to mention this, you guys. So I did a giveaway last Friday, was it? Or last Thursday? I did a giveaway. I believe it was Friday. And I have to acknowledge the giveaway winner from last week. I want to give a special shout out, and he knows he won already. We've already communicated via email, but I want to give a shout out to Rolando Durand from New Jersey. Rolando Durand from New Jersey is our giveaway winner from last week. Shout out to Rolando. Really appreciate Rolando for being a loyal supporter, a loyal viewer, a loyal subscriber to Chalk It Up Sports. Your gift will be in the mail by tomorrow. I will be making a post office trip tomorrow, Rolando, to make sure that your gift gets to you by early next week. So shout out to Rolando Durand for being last week's giveaway winner. I did a giveaway last Friday, I believe it was. And I got to give a shout out to Rolando Durand. Shout out to him. And we're going to talk about Rolando again later on. Rolando is the winner from the code word check down 26. We did that on Friday, I think. So shout out to Rolando Durand. All right. And also shout out to my previous giveaway winners. Mark Johnson, Jameer Adams, Keisha White, Thomas Adams. All those people are my previous giveaway winners, and they all won something from me. So shout out to them. All right, here, let's see. Where was I? So yeah, Sidney Brown. Really excited. Really excited to see what Sidney Brown can bring to the table. Let's get to some of your comments here before we continue. Fitness Warrior, you cannot have the katana. It's off limits. Big Pickens says, Sidney, I can see having that CJ role in the future. Sidney Brown is a force. He just got to get healthy, and he needs an opportunity. Solomon Lord, what's good, big dog? I ain't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well, big dog. Been a minute. Antonio Holmes, what's good? Joshua Mullen says Sidney Brown is the future of the safety room. I agree. I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles, their perfect scenario, what they want. I believe they want a scenario where you have Quinyon Mitchell on the outside with Kelee Ringo, and then you have Cooper DeJean in the slot. You got Sidney Brown at safety, and you got CJ at the safety position. I think that's the scenario they want. Can you imagine having 4 of your 5 top DBs on rookie contracts, and they're all playing at a Pro Bowl level or playing at a borderline Pro Bowl level? Can you imagine that? Like really take the time to think about that. Because I think in 2025, they really want Sidney Brown on that field. They're going to give him a chance to win that job. Quinyon Mitchell, Kelee Ringo, Cooper DeJean. Those are your corners, outside and nickel. Then you got CJ and Sidney Brown back there. 4 of your starting DBs are on rookie deals. You know how much flexibility that gives you? That gives you so much cap flexibility, and you're proving that you can develop talent. That goes a long way. That would give us so much flexibility to help build out the defense even more if you want to spend big on certain players. Or if you need to re-up somebody else on the defensive line, like a Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis, whatever it may be. So this is the big opportunity for a lot of people here. Big opportunity. Eagles fan says, I think CJ will get exposed. I don't like him. Oh, man. Let's see where we are. Chauncey Franklin says, mental reps are definitely valuable. Absolutely. Just ask Gohan and Krillin. Eagles fan says, I don't watch anime like that. The only one I did was Gundam and Castlevania. Well, Castlevania is fairly new. So, and then Gundam, okay, it's a classic. Gundam is a classic. That's a fact. Gundam is a classic. Joshua Mullen says, don't disrespect DBZ. Fitness Warrior says, someone time him out just for that. Iron Mike says, DBZ for life. Goku would be Superman, Tone. Sup, bro? Listen, man, ain't nobody, Ultra Instinct, ain't nobody, bro, that's a whole nother man. Spy City say, you smoking the DB shit. Facts. You feel me? Pro Fan Talk says, don't disrespect the Dragon Ball, bro. Oh, man, look what y'all started. Antonio Holmes says, Isaiah Rodgers will be the young vet. Yeah, that's if he's still here, if they extend him. That's if he's still here. Because my thing is, if you're trying to get Kelee Ringo on the field, and obviously Quinyon Mitchell's going to be on the field, how do you re-sign Isaiah Rodgers? Like, Isaiah Rodgers would have to have a stellar season for the Eagles to re-sign him. Like, he would have to really be like, whoa. You know what I mean? All right. Let's move on to my next player from the 2023 draft class. And we mentioned him. Kelee Ringo. Kelee Ringo out of Georgia, drafted in the 4th round, 105th overall. He's 22 years old. He's one of their younger, or he was one of their younger rookies at the time. He's one of their younger players right now. Quinion Mitchell was older than Kelee Ringo, just to add perspective. So Kelee Ringo came out very young, and his rookie season, he primarily played special teams, and he would come in here and there if somebody got injured. But then when Darius Slay went out, he came in and picked up a lot of starting time towards the final stretch of the season. Those final 4 games, as a matter of fact. So says here that I wrote, excuse me, his rookie stats: played in 17 games. He put up a lot of special team snaps, but through 17 games, 4 starts, 199 defensive snaps, which is 17% of the total defensive snaps available. 1 interception, 2 pass deflections, 1 fumble recovery, 1 sack, 21 total tackles. As we all know, the Philadelphia Eagles clearly want Isaiah Rodgers as their CB2 this season. That's a fact. But I was talking about beyond 2024, just to make sure we're on the same page here. But as far as 2024, Kelee Ringo, the Eagles decided to go with Isaiah Rodgers. Fair enough. I personally would have went with Ringo. I feel like Ringo's been the better corner. That's just me. But nonetheless, Ringo has had a tremendous offseason, training camp, and preseason. He's been playing very well. You've been really seeing him develop in real time. You really see the difference in the player from his rookie year up until now, right? And you're really seeing the development of the on-field good habits, right? Mirroring receivers' movements, having that sharp footwork, right? Sinking those hips, not getting beat over the top, turning his head to play the ball, right? Those little minute details go a long way. I don't think Kelee Ringo has accumulated a penalty. Has he? I don't think he has. I think Kelee Ringo has played clean football throughout the preseason. I know he's more physical than Isaiah Rodgers. I know Isaiah Rodgers is the type that, he's the playmaker, probably going to get you more picks. He's really fast, really quick. He baits you a lot, but he can get beat over the top. Whereas though Ringo, he likes to keep things in front of you or in front of him. So you pick your poison with that. I would have liked to roll with Ringo going into the season, but you never know how things may turn out. There is a chance he may see the field. Darius Slay, he's 34 years old. Will Darius Slay make the entire season? It all remains to be seen. We do not know. So to have a guy like Kelee Ringo just waiting to get his opportunity, I think is a good thing. You have depth at the cornerback spot for the first time in a long time. I like Kelee Ringo a lot. He has natural athletic gifts that give him an edge against almost anybody he lines up against, right? Or put it to you this way, maybe not an edge, but no one has an edge over him. He's quick enough and fast enough to, to keep up with the smaller guys, right? He has long enough arms so he doesn't get beat over the top. He's also strong enough, tall enough, big enough to hang with those more brolic type of wide receivers, like the AJ Browns and the DK Metcalfs, and the guys that are long and have length, the D Hops, the Justin Jeffersons. And I'm not saying he can run with those guys. What I'm trying to say is that physically he has traits and tools that he can match up well with almost anybody. So I've been really excited about Kelee Ringo's development. I've been really excited to see him get on the football field. I still can't get over how good he looked in that Ravens game. Can't get over it not one bit. I liked what I saw from him. I really, really did. And like I said, him and Mitchell, him and Quinion, they're the future. They're the future of that cornerback room. Kelee Ringo, Quinn Mitchell on the outside, Cooper DeJean in the slot, playing that hybrid role, that floater guy. And then you got CJ, GJ, and hopefully Sidney Brown at safety. But Reed Blankenship is going to give him a hard way to go. Not going to make it easy. Not going to make it easy at all. I want to move on to. Oh, before I move on, like I said to you before, he was competing for the cornerback 2 spot. I think at this point, the Philadelphia Eagles have made their mind up. I think they made their mind up about who they're going to start the season with, and I think it's going to be Isaiah Rodgers. You just pay attention to their decision making about who plays, who doesn't. Now, let me get to your comments before I move on. Twan says, I think Q going to be our Woolen or Sauce right away. He should be on the other side of Slay. I agree, man. I want Quinn Mitchell on the outside. That's my preference. Twan says, I still think it should be Q on the outside and Cooper or Maddox on the inside. I feel you. I feel you. My man S. Blunt, big dog, thank you so much. He says, who do you think is fighting for a spot by Saturday's game? Ooh. Well, training camp is officially over. I think they're going through a walkthrough tomorrow, right? So let me see. Man, that's a good question. That's a good question, man. I think Avonte Maddox is, I think he's man, this is tough. Josh Jobe. I think Josh Jobe is fighting for a roster spot. I don't think he makes it. Let me look at this depth chart again. Let me see. So on the defensive side, I think Marlon Tuipulotu is fighting for a roster spot. Unless the Eagles bring in 6 DTs. I don't know if they're going to do that. But I think Marlon T is fighting for a roster spot. I think Thomas Booker and Gabe Hall have made it real hard for Marlon Tuipulotu. But I think Marlon Tuipulotu at nose tackles fighting for a roster spot. Wait, that actually may be his value, though. Who knows? But who else? I think Patrick Johnson is fighting for a roster spot, believe it or not. He's had a really good camp, though, but he's fighting for a roster spot. The Eagles like him. I believe Zach McPherson. I think Zach McPherson is fighting for a roster spot. That's just on the defensive side. Paris Campbell fighting for a roster spot. Let's see here. Albert O fighting for a roster spot, even though I don't think he gets it. I think the running back room. I think after Will Shipley, it's debatable, man. After Will Shipley is debatable. The Eagles can't keep all 6 running backs. They're likely going to keep 4. Like they did last season. Last season, they had Swift, Gainwell, Boston Scott, and Penny. The running back room looks way better this year. You got Saquon Barkley, Kenny Gainwell, Will Shipley. Those are guarantees. Now, who gets the rub between Terry and Davis Price, Kendall Milton, Lou Nichols? All 3 of those players have had a moment, right? They've had moments. if I had to roll the dice, I think it's going to be Tyrion Davis-Price that wins that spot if they bring in 4 running backs. I think it will go to Tyrion Davis-Price. So I hope that answers your question. That's Blunt. Thank you again for donating to the channel, my man. It means a lot. If you guys want to donate to the channel, you're free to do so as well. All you guys have to do is hit that super chat button at the bottom. It's like a money. If you're watching on the phone, it's like a money symbol. You can donate to the show. I appreciate you guys for even thinking about it. If you're thinking about it, but you can donate in many ways. You can give me a super chat. You can donate via super sticker. You can donate via super thanks, and that goes for people who are watching the live stream after the fact, right? You can donate to the channel in the comment section with the super thanks. So, yeah, totally up to you guys. Totally up to you guys. All right, let's see here. All right, let's get to my next Eagles rookie. So, if you're just hopping in on the live stream, I've been breaking down the 2023 draft class and how we need to start seeing something from those players in year 2, especially going into this season where the Eagles are really leaning in on their youth movement on defense. I think a lot of the guys that we're depending on in 2024 were drafted last year. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Kelee Ringo. If he continue, if he gets grass time, we're depending on Kelee Ringo, to be a stable force if somebody goes down. You know what I'm saying? Tyler Steen. We're depending on Tyler Steen to be a stable force if somebody goes down. So I'm basically just here. If you're just joining, I'm basically breaking down the 2023 draft class and the pressure they're all under to come in and make an impact. And everyone's in a various situation based off of the depth chart, based off of just the overall position and health and whatever it may be. But we've talked about Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, Sidney Brown, Kelee Ringo, and now we're going to talk about quarterback out of Stanford, Tanner McKee. Tanner McKee drafted in the 6th round, 188th overall. He's 24 years old. He was an older rookie, one of the older guys. And McKee last season was the 3rd string quarterback. And so far, unfortunately, he is slated to be the 3rd string quarterback in 2024. And if the Eagles maintain that, they'll be making a grave mistake, because I didn't see anything from Kenny Pickett that made me feel comfortable if he had to quarterback a game or 2. I don't even feel comfortable if Kenny Pickett had to take over for a series, let alone a game. So I'm looking at Tanner McKee and I'm saying to myself, he's better. He's better at quarterbacking. He understands the offense better. He has command of it. He trusts his arm. He trusts what he sees. He lets the ball go and lives with the results. And his ball placement is significantly better. He's more accurate. He may not be as mobile, but he can move a little bit in that pocket. He knows how to step up and move to the side little by little. He knows how to move around the hula hoop. You feel what I'm saying? So I just have a hard time understanding why the Philadelphia Eagles are making this more complicated than what it is. Is it because you traded for Kenny Pickett and you don't want to bear the brunt of the bad news? Well, sorry. The bad news has already been delivered. He's not good. He's not good. He's not good. Sorry. He's not a good player. I don't care what you gave up for him. Tanner McKee's better. Tanner McKee's better than Kenny Pickett. He should be ahead of him in the depth chart. Tanner McKee has made throws that made me go, oh, okay. I get it. I see it. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? This goes back to the whole Nolan Smith thing. I need to see something that says, I see it. I get it. Tanner McKee, we've seen him make very, very complicated throws with confidence. That goes a long way with me. And then again, the bottom line is we've just seen his development really just go up from the year before. And we saw Tanner McKee last season, and we were optimistic about him. We were like, oh, okay, I like this kid. He throws a nice he throws a nice back shoulder pass. You know what I mean? Like he has a strong enough arm as well to be able to make those throws across the field outside the numbers. That's important too. Being able to make those throws, not throwing ducks in the air like Kenny Pickett. So I feel comfortable with Tanner McKee being the quarterback too. I just hope the Philadelphia Eagles make the right decision. You can't sit here and talk about how competition is important, and then when someone is dominating the competition, they're not being rewarded for it. Doesn't make any sense. So the Philadelphia Eagles better do right by this team and make Tanner McKee quarterback too. If they do that, in my humble opinion, compromises their entire operation. You cannot sit here. You cannot sit here and make Kenny Pickett your quarterback too and expect your team to have respect for you. They saw those games like we did. The eye test tells you everything. Kenny Pickett can't hack it. Tanner McKee is the man. As simple as that. Taekwon TV, what's going on? Welcome to the show. I appreciate you for being here. Any Sports says we got the best running attack. Use it. Yeah, man. You got talent at running back. You really do. Antonio Holmes. Antonio Holmes says if Ringo was the future, they would have made him CB2 this year. I don't know if that's entirely true. But he says if Ringo was the future, they would have made him the CB2 this year. Wow, wait. Rodgers is 26, barely played in games, so their evals come from seeing them in camp. Whose name did we hear more getting burned? Well, let me retort to that, right? Let me put it this way. Rodgers, remember, they signed him a year early because he got suspended. So the Philadelphia Eagles are looking at it as we gotta see what this play. We gotta put him out there. We gotta see what he is. We gotta see how good he is, right? Now your retort to that may be, well, they don't owe him any big money. So why do they feel compelled to play Isaiah Rodgers? Clearly, there's something Isaiah Rodgers is showing them in camp. But in my humble opinion, I'm talking about live game reps. There's nothing Isaiah Rodgers has shown me that puts him head and shoulders above Kelee Ringo. Now, could it be that Kelee Ringo has been a little too handsy in training camp and they just don't want to risk the penalties? I don't know. But I'm not the only one that feels like Kelee Ringo should be ahead of him. I'm not the only one. So there's something preventing them from making Kelee Ringo or putting Kelee Ringo ahead of him. There's something about it. Something. I don't really know what it is. But we all saw those preseason games. Kelee Ringo played well. His Ravens game was better than the Patriots game, but I think that goes for a lot of people on that defense. But Kelee Ringo's played well in live game action. Northeast Sports says, all this passing junk people are promoting is trash, especially this fascination with going deep every play is trash. Just move the chains. And I think that was the frustration with Jalen Hurts last year, right? I think Jalen Hurts was frustrated that their offense didn't incorporate enough short and intermediate options in the passing game, right? The Philadelphia Eagles relied so much on explosive plays over the past couple seasons, and they were doing very well at it. But it got to a point last year where you saw that they were just so dependent on it because they couldn't get anything else going underneath. So I think, um, I'm with you. I feel like the running game is still important. No matter how often you pass the ball, you need to be able to run the ball. All the teams that we saw in the playoffs were top 10 rushing offenses for the most part, right? The Dolphins, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Lions, the Packers. I believe all those teams we saw in the playoffs, the 49ers, all those teams we saw in the playoffs for the most part had top 10 rushing offenses. So that tells you right then and there the running game is very important, you know? And I think we're going to see a lot more complexity with this offense this season. I think we're going to see more utilization of the intermediate, utilization of the sticks, and just more, just a more surgical attack. I think that's what Jalen Hurts has been yearning for, and I think we're going to get that. As Blunt says, experience, game action with Pickett, 14-10 as a starter. Turner has a more accurate arm, but he can be tricked. Eagles don't feel like he's ready to step up if Hurts goes down. Ref practice Sunday. Oh, reference to practice on Sunday. I think that's what you're saying. I think. Not entirely sure of that last part, but I you don't think Tanner, you don't think Kenny Pickett can get tricked? See, there's tape on Kenny Pickett. There's not much tape on Tanner McKee. I don't know if I buy that as Blunt. I don't know. I see what you're trying to say, but I don't know if I buy that. He also says, I think Ringo is Slay's replacement next year. This year, we should go Q and Slay with Maddox or Cooper in the slot. I'm with you. That's my mindset. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles' long-term vision is Quinyon Mitchell and Kelee Ringo on the outside, Cooper DeJean in the slot. Because here's the thing, right? Here's another thing too, Antonio Holmes. Here's another thing. See, they got the rights to Kelee Ringo for the next, if you include this upcoming season, they got the rights for Kelee Ringo for the next 3 seasons. So they don't need to be in a rush to throw him out there. Whereas Isaiah Rodgers, they've waited damn near 2 years to get that player on the grass. So I think they look at it from the perspective of, we got to get Isaiah Rodgers out there. He's on a 1-year deal. We need to find out if he's good or not. If he's not, we got Kelee Ringo as a contingency plan. I think they just want to find out if Isaiah Rodgers is good. Period. I think that's what they want to see. I think they want to see him in real regular season reps. And if he's not good, I think Kelee Ringo takes the job instantly. I believe that. That's all it is. I think they want to see Rodgers sooner because they have Kelee Ringo's rights for the next 3 seasons, if you include this season. They don't have to be in a rush to get Ringo on the field. They don't have to be. All right. We've gone through Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen, Sidney Brown, Kelee Ringo, Tanner McKee. Last but not least, we got to talk about my man who's having a great offseason, a great training camp, Moro Ojomo, D tackle, drafted in the 7th round, 249th overall out of the University of Texas. Go Horns. He's 23 years old as well. And Moro Jomo, he played in a very limited capacity in 2023. He came in on defense if an injury took place, and he played special teams if need be. But Moro Jomo wasn't really activated that much throughout the season. He was only activated for 8 games, and in those 8 games, he only gave you 3 tackles. I mean, he wasn't really asked to do much. He didn't really get that many snaps, right? So you can't really judge him based on their rookie year. But based off of what we've been hearing from the reports, what we've seen in the preseason games, what we've heard from his teammates, Milton Williams been talking about it. Jordan Davis been talking about it. You know, a lot of people are looking at Moro Ojomo and saying, listen, he's taking a huge step forward. Okay, as Blunt says, right. Reference Sunday's practice with Tanner. He was picked off twice. They put him against they put him against the first team defense. He's shining against third team defenses. Fair. It's fair. Fair point. Very fair point. Malijah Earl says Tanner gives me huge Nick Foles vibes, being a tall, lanky Christian dude that has a solid IQ, strong anticipation, and command of the offense. I like Tanner McKee, man. At some point, you got to give him some run. At some point, you got to. You know what I mean? At some point, you got to trust the kid. But yeah, Moro Ojomo, 7th rounder, drafted out of Texas by the Philadelphia Eagles. He's having a strong training camp, man. They've been saying Ojomo's been going nuts. He's been strong in run fits. He's been strong in rushing the passer. You know, he has a huge opportunity in front of him, right? You know, Milton Williams is in the contract year. And who knows if Milton Williams will be re-signed by the Philadelphia Eagles. But if he's not, you have Moro Ojomo stepping up, who everyone's high on right now. He's one of the names in training camp that's been spoken about a lot. And if he can become a real contributor this season, right? If he can come in spot moments, as a reliable, as a high quality rotational defensive tackle, man, Ojomo, that can be your new Milton Williams. And then don't get me started about other guys, right? That's playing with Moro Ojomo right now. Thomas Booker, Gabe Hall, they're having very strong training camps and preseasons. I think Thomas Booker makes this roster. And if the Eagles bring up 6 D tackles, I won't be surprised. Because you're going to need somebody to be able to be a backup for Jordan Davis at the nose tackle. I think that's Marlon T, right? That could be Marlon T. But then beyond that, right? So look, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Moro Ojomo. I think Thomas Booker should make this roster. I think it's going to be a debate. I think it's going to be a debate between Marlon T and Gabe Hall. And I think Marlon T may make the roster because he, outside of Jordan Davis, he's the only one that's a true nose. And PJ Mustafa, he's a true nose as well. But I think Marlon T probably would be ahead of PJ Mustafa. So I think if the Eagles bring 6 DTs, it's going to be Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Moro Ojomo, Marlon T, and Thomas Booker the 4th. I think that's how it pans out. But Moro Ojomo, man, I'm really excited about him. I'm very excited about him. Says here, Antonio Holmes says Ojomo's a baller. Which King says, you think this Booker kid can make the team? I do. Ampian Key, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but Amp says, who is playing special teams? That's going to determine last 4 to 6 players. Who the Eagles want and are afraid to lose will mean a lot. And what the plans are what are the plans to finesse the practice squad? It's a good question. So they've already put Mekhi Gardner on IR because of his hamstring. Sidney Brown is already in the pup list. I think the Eagles want to keep Eli Ricks. I think they want to find a way to keep Caden Stearns. He's going to go on IR most likely. I think the Eagles want to find a way to keep Gabe Hall. You know what I mean? I think they like Tristan McCullum too. I think Tristan McCullum probably makes the practice squad. We'll see though. It all remains to be seen. S. Blunt says Ojomo will be the 4th D tackle. Thomas Booker versus Marlon T for the 5th D tackle spot. So you think they only bring 5? S. Blunt says this Vikings preseason game on Saturday will determine a lot. Good point. Antonio Holmes says Ojomo stats were better than the 2 defensive tackles who everyone loved this year. He outplayed both of them when they played at Texas together. Oh, really? Who else played at Texas? No way. Let me see. Was it Thomas Booker? Thomas Booker's out of Stanford. Egghead, dude. Gabe Hall, Baylor. So Gabe Hall played at Baylor, which is in Texas. Moro Ojomo went to the University of Texas. Let's see. Oh, I think you're talking about the other Texas DTs that they got drafted this year. I think that's what you're talking about. But yeah, man, Moro Jomo, that's a player, man. He's starting to look like something. So yeah, listen, you guys. Overall, like this team has a lot riding on these young guys because they're really leaning in on this youth movement, and I appreciate it. I like the fact that they're leaning in so much on these young guys. It goes a long way with me, and I think it's about time you give these young guys some burn. And there's a lot of pressure on them. Jalen Carter, he's supposed to be our new Fletcher Cox, right? Our new anchor down there. Him and Jordan Davis, and then you got Nolan Smith on the edge, right? You lost Hassan Reddick. You may lose Josh Sweat after this season. Nolan Smith has to show us something. He has to give us a reason to say, "Oh, I know why he's here." He has to give us a moment that makes us say, I see the first round talent now. That's all. And then Tyler Steen, no pressure on him right now. He just has to get healthy and be a solid backup in case any one of the guards or right tackles get hurt. Byron Murphy and Trevian Sweat. Yes, okay. I remember those guys now. Thank you. But yeah, Tyler Steen, you just got to be a solid backup behind Mekhi Gardner and potentially Lane Johnson if it comes to it. And then Sidney Brown, get healthy, have a stronger handle on your motor, have a stronger handle on the clutch. You know what I mean? Keep playing with your hair on fire, though. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. Get healthy, though. And then Kelee Ringo, keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be a starter on this defense at some point. That's my honest perspective. Don't be surprised if somebody get hurt and Kelee Ringo is right there. So, high expectations for Kelee Ringo, but they are measured because he's not going to be the starter this year. Tanner McKee. I hope you get the quarterback 2 spot. You may not, and it's unfortunate. And then Moro Ojomo, really high on Moro Ojomo right now, and a lot of people are. I can't wait to see what he does. I can't wait to see all his hard work start to take shape throughout the regular season. And I'm just excited overall to see all these young guys really get things going. Oh, hold up. Time's out. Antonio Holmes says, Tone Capone, I just got my shirt delivered. Listen, brother, please send me a picture. Ace, listen, send me a picture. ASAP. Send me a picture of it. Here's my email. Here's the Chalk It Up email. Antonio Holmes, please email me a photo, brother. Please email me a photo of you with your shirt, my friend. Please. If you can do that for me real quick, if you can take a quick photo and email it to me, chalkitupsports52@gmail.com. That's chalkitupsports52@gmail.com. If any of you guys have ordered merch, right? If any of you guys have ordered merch from the Chalk It Up Sports store, make sure you send me a picture of yourself with the merch. Please do that. I can't wait. I love seeing you guys win. I think Antonio Holmes was the first one to order his. So make sure you guys cop it in black and or tan or eucalyptus. You know, it comes in 2 different colorways. Make sure you bless yourself for the football season. You know what I mean? Let me keep a lookout on my email. I need to see I really want to show the people this. So email that to me ASAP. I want to try to get that on here. Real quick. Okay. So yeah, make sure you guys bless yourself with the Chalk It Up Sports merch that's available to you guys. All you gotta do is click that link and take care of yourself. That's all you gotta do. We've been getting a lot of orders. A lot of people have been blessing me. A lot of people have been showing love. So I'm really grateful to Antonio Holmes. Right, Antonio Holmes was one of the first guys to order his shirt, and I really appreciate Antonio Holmes for showing love and for being patient. Right, for being patient. As a matter of fact, Antonio, what color did you order? I think you told me you ordered it in tan, right? If I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, make sure you guys bless yourselves, okay? Bless yourself. The links are all over the place. You can't miss it. All right? You can't miss it not one bit. I've been wearing these shirts every day. All right. Let's see here. Still waiting on Antonio to get that to me. Let's see here. All right. So yeah, man, I think about these young players and I think about what's riding on their success, right? Shep with the $10 donation. You've earned yourself a rent, Shep. Thank you so much, my friend, for donating to the channel. It means a lot. Going to add you as a moderator. You got your rent, Shep. Shep says, I think Nolan will have a great year. I hope so. Look, I'm not down on him, but I just haven't seen anything that pops off the screen yet. That's all. That's all, man. I just need to see something from Nolan that makes me go, I get it. Because Nolan, he was really talented in college. He got a lot done in college, man. He was a man on a mission when he was at Georgia. And obviously his rookie year, he didn't really get enough burn. I felt like that was a mistake. I felt like they should have did everything possible to get Nolan Smith on the field. And for some reason, they barely put him out there. Some people felt like, okay, maybe he's not ready. Some people felt like, nah, the Eagles just don't know what they're doing right now with this rotation. Sean Desai is dropping the ball here. Me, I'm getting those young guys out there quick, fast, in a hurry. I ain't got no time to be patient. So Shep, I hope you're right. I really do hope. I really, really, really do hope Nolan has the year that we need him to have. Because, man, oh man, you lost Hassan Reddick, you lost Fletcher Cox. That's a lot of production you lost, a lot of trust, a lot of veteran leadership you lost. Now it's time for these young guys to step up. Witch King says, do you think Nolan is playing out of position like Reddick was early in his career? That's a good question. Well, remember, I'm sorry, not Nolan. Remember with Hassan, the Cardinals kept dropping him back in coverage. They were kind of using him like a prototypical linebacker, and that wasn't really his style, right? And Nolan, he was a pass rusher. He rushed the passer in college, and I think the Eagles understood that. And every time I've seen him on the field, for the most part, he's rushing the passer. Occasionally, he may drop back, but for the most part, they always have him going forward. So I don't think Nolan is playing out of position. I really don't. He played off-ball linebacker in college. He played the edge in college. He was asked to drop back a few times in college, and he was asked to rush the passer a lot. I really don't think he's out of position. Which King? I really don't. All right, let's see what we got here. Hey, let's go, Antonio. You looking good, player. Let me show the people. Let me show the people. This is lit. We up, y'all. That's what I like. That's what I like. Shout out to the good brother Antonio Holmes. Hold on. Let me bring this up on the screen. Let me bring this up on the screen. Shout out to Antonio Holmes. Yeah, it's up. It's up. That's what I'm talking about, Tone. Yeah. That could be you. And he got the hurt season hat on. Okay. Yeah, Big Tone. Yeah. I like that. You look good, big dog. Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about, man. I love it. Shout out to Antonio Holmes, man, for supporting the platform, for supporting me. He's donated to the channel. He's invested in the channel. He's purchased the merch. Man, you look good, Big Tone. You look good, OG, triple OG. I like it. And you got LB hurt season hat on. Listen, he laced. He laced. That's how you do it, man. Shout out to Antonio Holmes, man. I really do appreciate Antonio Holmes for being him, man. He's active in every live stream. This is so dope, man. So dope. I love it. I love it, man. This has made my day, man. You made my day. My dad ordered his. My dad ordered his too. My dad just came in the mail today. My stepmom got hers. It came in the mail. You know, I got a lot of people who got theirs, man. It's dope. It's so dope, man. Tone, thank you so much for sending me this email. I'm grateful to you, man. I'm in debt. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. This could be y'all, man. This could be y'all. All you got to do is click the link. Cop yours, man. It comes in 2 colors. It comes in black and it comes in eucalyptus, as you can see here. My man Antonio Holmes got the black one on. You dig me? Y'all see me in both of them. Y'all see me in the black one. Y'all see me in the tan one. Y'all know how I give it up. Shout out to Antonio Holmes. Go lock in, y'all. Go lock in. Like I said, it comes in 2 colorways. Comes in tan, comes in black, man. Bless yourself for the season. Man, oh man, that was dope. That is dope. And on that note, y'all, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for being as loyal as you guys have been, man. Really, really means a lot to me. And it goes a long way with just, me building this thing. You guys keep me inspired. You guys keep me going. I couldn't ask for a better crop of supporters, right? So I really do appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed to the show and make sure you hit that notification bell. The notification bell will make you fully aware whenever I go live. And if you're not getting your notifications, even though you got the notification bell on, make sure you check your notifications in your cell phone, right? If you got an iPhone, go to your notification setting, make sure it comes through. If you got an Android, I can't really tell you much about that. So just make sure that along with making sure that the notification bell is on, make sure that in your phone you're actually getting notifications from YouTube, okay? And I really do appreciate all the love and support. Again, smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Keep commenting. Stay engaged. Make sure you cop up on your Chalk It Up merch. Make sure you guys stay locked in. Also, congratulations once again to my man Rolando Durand for being last week's giveaway winner. Rolando, I will be mailing out your gift tomorrow. All right. And then I will be reaching out to you via email again to let you know what the tracking number is so you can keep up with your package while it's in transit. So again, you guys, smash that like button, stay locked in on the content. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, especially if you're new. Make sure you guys stay engaged. Make sure you guys stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry. I've been your humble host, your grateful host, Tone DeShields II. And you guys have been locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game.